The Awakened Power Stance is a new attempt of Namco of making Jin's power stance usable. When hit, it becomes a power crash that immediately transitions into some of the Devil Jin moves that Jin used to have when he has the Omen stance. So we call this the Omen stance, but the problem is that this isn't exactly a Omen. One of the main problems of the Awakened Power Stance is its range, as the activation radius is nearly to zero, so the opponent really needs to be super close to Jin in order for him to actually transition into one of the options. But there is a secondary problem. When Jin activates it and someone blocks it, it creates a large pushback that the only option that is viable is the Electric Wind God Fist, but even that can be sidestepped. Everything else can be jabbed out outside of the Omen Thunder God Fist, so the Hell Sweep is a no-go, as the player can simply just backdash out of it or hop kick Jin or just really get out of it with a jab. This renders the Awakened Power Stance useless mid-screen, so the only viable option to use currently is at the wall, where the opponent has to deal with it, as if it ducks a mid is going to get splatted into a full launcher, but the damage isn't going to be as much as significant as landing an Electric Wind God Fist mid-screen. However, there is a third way to use the stance, and that is when you place a defensive trap when you are slightly negative. See, people have the habit of trying to rush into Jin when he is slightly negative on hit, so at -1, -2 and maybe -3 or even more than that, and they try to take their turn by running into jabs or trying to pitbull him with pressure. It's when the Awakened Power Stance becomes very strong, as someone that crashes into it is going to get launched to the ground, and now they're gonna have to deal with all 4 ways mix-up that comes with it. Because when the Awakened Power Stance hits, all the other options that weren't usable before on block are now usable, as Jin can launch with a mid option in Omen 3 or mix it up with a low, and they also gonna have to deal with the Hell Sweep much closer without being able to interrupt, and gonna have to fuzzy guard between the mid option and the Omen Thunder God Fist. But there is other ways to mix it up as you are going into the Awakened Power Stance. You can also use it to delay the crush dash to the maximum and try to hit the L sweep as late as possible, or even let it expire and launch with a wall standing 2 for a full mix up between mid and lows. Knowing this, now you can understand how Namco forces this strategy, and you can find ways to use it. One of them, which we already explained, that is by playing defensive on a gap, on a situation where you think the opponent is going to attack and you want the Awakened Power Stance to work. But be aware that the range of activation is 0, so there is a chance that the moves are going to whiff and Jin is not going to transition into a crouch dash. But there is also another situation where you can use this to much better advantage. During a wave dash 50-50 situation, at some point during the wave dash, someone is going to try to duck Jin's LLRK and try to block it on reaction. You can use this and trap them into the Awakened Power Stance which hits mid and forces them into a much worse 50-50 scenario where Jin actually has a Hell Sweep that is unreactable and has the Lightning God Fist. But you can also use this to enforce Demon's Hoof, which at this point is no longer interruptible because Awakened Power Stance already hit. You can also mix with the low option, or you can go for the Omen Hell Sweep, which is going to launch and they cannot interrupt it or try to move it at any point or any way.